All right, hi everybody. Welcome to Cup of Coffee with Cha Rules. This is the Charles Show on a Friday. I try to come on here once a week to do a live and let any and all people ask any and all questions, and that's kind of what this time is set aside for reaching everybody in equity, for those who want to be enlightened or reached or guided or have any questions at all about anything, because sometimes we get lonely, we need some help, and I'm in a very lucky position that I've been able to study on so many random subjects, and I continue to learn. I'm just a student. However, I've been amassing a massive amount of esoteric knowledge on all kinds of different subjects. I'm not a master of anything, but I do know of a lot of different things. So, Awareness Daily, one of my great buddies is on here. I've really got a grasp on the fictional character and the difference between de facto and de jure. That is phenomenal. I'm glad to hear that. The fictional character is, in a sense, our natural body is a fictional character as well. And that's kind of what we were just talking about before I hit the record button, is the natural light where all of our temporary natural bodies are shown in. That is, it's very deceitful, because it seems like it's the only thing that's really going on, when really the substance, the spirit, the equity is what moves everything. So with the de facto and the fictional character, it's like our natural body, where it's just kind of like a person, a persona, something that you can use on a stage. It's a tool. It is. It's a very interesting, very unique tool, and a lot of people call it a blessing. Some people call it a curse. You have so many options with it. You can dock it. You don't have to use it. You can use it to interface with. You can contract with it. But it's like anything that is belonging to the state or registered to the state, is they get to control it. But they do allow private asset, enactment, if you understand the rules on a big level. So, Awareness Daily. I found it's just more about my soul than anything else. Like deep, the citizen is just a tool. Yes, that is precisely where I'm at, man. And I'm glad that you are coming to that realization. And my most favorite and cherished thing is to try to give some guidance or perspective, like that is kind of different than people are used to. Because when you have somebody like me that's studied esoteric knowledge for 10, 15 years, I'm able to see things in a different way. I mean, even we were just talking about looking in the commercial light and the spiritual light. Like, I'll literally look at somebody and I'll be like, oh yeah, this, that's the temporary body, that's and the natural light. The same thing with a lot of the spirit moves everything. And these are scriptures, and a lot of the United States corporate bylaw structures are based off of biblical doctrine, and that's why. One of the many reasons it's one of my favorite law books. And I was even talking to my girlfriend today about how, even in the scripture, we were talking about marriages. And when you get married, you're marrying the state, typically in the public. That's what, when the state grants a license to you to allow you to do something illegal to an enemy, a U.S. citizen. License is permission to do something illegal. And when you marry the state, they grant permission. And everything that we try to do out there in the public, because the public is bankrupt, uneducated, and crazy. The U.S. citizen needs licenses to do everything. Needs for business, for driving around, for marrying, for that's how everybody's taught and chained in the public, and it's made that way for a reason. So it takes a while to understand that the spiritual equity side, everything's in trust, everything's in spirit. The spiritual light is really the truth, and it's hard to understand until you read the scripture. Be in the world, not of it. Okay, so you're in the body, but not of it. Right? There was this amazing video that I watched recently that said there's like 3 levels to this simulation that we're in, and the 3 levels. The first level was, you are the player, you are the body, you are the human, you are the one in the natural light. Like, that's level 1. Everybody's kind of operating on level 1, right? Level 2 is where you're not the player, but you're not the player in the program. You're the one that's actually controlling it. You're the spirit. You're the one that's moving the body, that's hitting play, hitting pause, able to play the game. On a different level. When you reach level 2, you're the one that is controlling the player, right? Then level 3, she said, you are the programmer. All right, when you reach the third level, and this is, of course, a very simple breakdown of the 7-day walk, to becoming one with the Creator. This is more of a different, trying to understand the reality of the natural light that we've been thrown in when there's a spiritual and commercial level. But so when you're looking at the third level of you're the programmer, then all of a sudden you realize you're not the player, you're not the one that's moving the player. You're the one that actually creates the reality, and that's what we really are. We are a fractal of the Creator. We are able to dictate and change our environment and our reality through our thoughts and consciousness just by manifesting. Another beautiful video was a girl was explaining how she can separate her body from pain. She had this debilitating pain that was keeping her crippled, and she was unable to do anything and operate properly. And then she came to the realization that she was able to actually separate herself from the pain through mentally accepting that it's happening and she's moving that way. And the pain would just go away. And she said, like, every once in a while, the pain would pop up just a little bit, but then she would just have to remember the walk that she's on. But yeah, the spirit that moves the flesh body frame, that gets bound by the commercial dictators that control all of the big corporations of all the games that we're in, is kind of how it is on a big level, high level. The spirit moves everything, and we're all deceived in this natural light by the entities that have been given great authority to be able to deceive us. But the whole game, the whole test, is about understanding that have always been free. We are above the law and can make our own law, and we can actually control our reality through our thoughts and consciousness, through emanating out in the ether, and by being one with the creators, and it's just an amazing test of love. And that's why love is so powerful, because it transcends all lights, it transcends everything. It is like one of the most powerful forces out there. Awareness Daily, you're a G, homie, and I respect your get down. You're a righteous brother. I appreciate that. And, there's a lot of times when I have people wanting me to sell my time to make classes, or sell content, or, stuff like that. But I'm not, money is not my master. Money is a tool, just like the U.S. citizen is a tool. That fiat currency is garbage to me. However, it's not garbage in the sense that it binds everybody. And that people will kill for that. People will prostitute for it. They will sell children. Like they will do so much for that fiat fake currency. So and you have to respect that. So even though it's worthless to me, when you look at it on a big level, it is such a very powerful tool that you can do so much with, right? And it kind of forces people to get out of bed, be productive in society, and be a part of stuff, because the bills never even stop. And I'm as a property manager, I'm in a position that is somewhat powerful with tenants. I have not-for-profit tenants that are somewhat behind, and they're contracting with a for-profit company. And I'm kind of like, I'm stuck in the middle as a manager, because, I don't want to kick them out. We're trying to show as much leniency as I can. I'm not bound by money, and I hate that, at the end of the day, it ends up coming down to that for the for-profit company, because that's what, their ultimate goal is. But, I'm telling this not-for-profit trying to keep extending breaks and stuff, unfortunately, that's kind of, what is the master of this corporation is they want profit, and you got to kind of catch up, or we're going to have to split ways, So I kind of got to be firm, but also be gentle with the guiding on that, because I'm in a weird, powerful position where I could just kick them out, and I don't want to do that with this not-for-profit, because their actual goal is to try to help humanity, and it's like I hate being in that position, but anyway. Awareness. I can privately make pizza and trade it for all day without the need for connection with the state. Absolutely. And we have been so indoctrinated to work 9 to 5s, right? To be able to be on the hamster wheel, to barely even make enough to rub together. The U.S. citizen has 4 liens on it, and at the end of the day, by the time you've paid all the taxes and paid everything and worked to death at one of these corporations that's for profit, you barely have anything left over to play in the game with, right? It's just a game. You're playing on a board that is controlled by a U.S. citizen corporation, or sorry, a U.S. corporation is the game board. Each little state is a corporation that is classified as a nation, and then each city is another little section of the board game. And then our U.S. citizens are the little minions at the bottom that are being fleeced by everything that funnels all the way up to the top to Washington D.C. So and that's how it's all set up to keep everybody in lock for a reason. It just is what it is, and it's hard to try to grasp all the rules of that because we're not taught it. We're not taught, and I even talked to my daughter's in a unique school where I walked in, and it's somewhat a mix between Montessori and homeschooling, and they had a casta set up where they were using these cat dollars called Pudgy Bucks because it was a fat cat, so they called it Pudgy. And I thought it was so cute. They're handing around and doing things with Pudgy dollars, these little dollar bills. And it brought to remembrance of me of how when you're inside of a board game, so inside of that classroom, it's like a board game. It's like a little game, and they created it. They get to control the rules of it. Well, the kids start trying to get each other to do things for these Pudgy Bucks. Like some of these people, it's like so funny, and it reminded me of how in jail they trade stamps and tuna fish pouches and stuff as money. That's the currency that the inmates use while they're in prison, because it's like a little, you're stuck inside of this little board game, and the medium of exchange for these inmates is stamps and soups and coffee and stuff like that. Like they're bartering and trading and exchanging to do stuff all the time. I witnessed it because I was in there for a long time, and it's wild when you're in a weird situation like that. But it all stemmed from watching my daughter's school have these little Pudgy Bucks, and then I talked to the teacher about. It's so funny that we're not taught about anything about taxes, about business, about commerce, about any of this stuff in school because they don't want us to understand. They want us to just be thrown on the board game and then run all the way into the ground while working 9 to 5, not making much of nothing. Well, I told them it'd be cool to talk a little bit about not-for-profit because people have so many misunderstandings about not-for-profit. You can do almost everything, I mean everything to the T that a for-profit can, except for your ultimate goal is not money, and you don't get taxed, and you're typically trying to help with something. So and she's like, yeah, that sounds really good. And I told her some of the great maxims. You control what you create, and you also you're only taxed on if you're engaged in for-profit in a federal zone, and subject matter jurisdiction is really big and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, she's woke in a way, not like they use woke out there in the public, but she's awoke to the legal system a little bit, to the U.S. citizen stuff like that. So the teacher, it's pretty cool having a daughter that's in a school that's somewhat awoken. Well, I talked to her about the not-for-profit for a minute, and she was like, what should we kind of gear this teachings towards, like 12, 13, 10-year-olds? Like, she's like, what do you think like a target audience would be for the kids? Because my daughter's in a unique situation where there's like 12 of them in one class, and they have all the way from like 4-year-olds up to 14-year-olds all in one class. It's like 10 or 15 of them or something like that, and they're all mixed together, all in one class. And when she hit me with what age do you think would be appropriate to try to approach children to talk about not-for-profit, I was like, dang, yeah, they are freaking kids. Like, what 10-year-old, 13-year-old really wants to learn about not-for-profit? I was kind of like, I don't know. And it's also hard to make stuff that's blanketed for everybody because everybody's on their own little paths and stuff, and that's actually how that school is tailored anyway. But it's just good to learn some of the basics. Let me go stop rambling and answer some of these questions. But yeah, you can make pizza and trade it all day long. You can barter, you can exchange, you can do all that. And right now, that's why the U.S. dollar, even though it's the fiat public thing that's in trust, it does say for public and private use. You can privately, do things with it. And that's why they are trying to do, my dad thinks the main purpose of going to the digital is so they can do away with all that private exchanging. Awareness daily. Only when I want to go public do I need to register. Yeah. Well, you can be a private entity that contracts with a public entity, but sometimes um, it's not so easily cohesive when you're dealing with a federally registered DC controlled entity and you're dealing with like a sovereign like corporate soul. You know, they can contract in all kinds of ways. However, the federally registered and controlled entity is bound by all kinds of rules, right? Like they can only do certain donations. They can, they have to ledger and register everything. So, but two sovereigns can basically contract however they want. And then if you start using Federal Reserve notes as a medium of exchange, then you have to understand that that is someone else's property that has underlying strings attached to it. Guys, this video will be on YouTube. My audio will be in my Telegram group. I have exclusive content on all of my social medias, which is linked on my website that is attached to my profile page of TikTok. I have playlists to help re-educate you. Take some time to go through them. Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce. If you have any questions that you don't want to post on here, you can DM me, email me, call me, all that stuff. I help people all the time with free consultations. None of my stuff I charge for. It's just kind of my giving back to myself, to society, is how I kind of look at it. Y'all are me, I am y'all. So, yeah, it is kind of simple. Credit card, what is, looks like you got a virus down there. Awareness, what is this? Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. All right. Awareness Daily. I've been studying principles and how they affect my spirit, as well as how vices have affected me. Yeah, I can see that. We all have different vices, and what's wild, and me and my girl were talking about this, is you can pick any subject and you'll find someone for and against it. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Does coffee cause me blindness? You'll find all the articles. Does coffee help me see? You'll find all these articles for it. So she asked me, she said, where is God in all this? Because everything we were looking up, like trying to find out what shampoo is good for your hair, like what is stevia good for you when it's been synthetically broken down, stuff like that. We were looking at all these subjects. She was like, where's God in all this? And I said, in the middle. Right in the middle. Because you will always find opposition for and against everything. Like everything. The creator's right in the middle, And there is scripture that says, because you're neither hot nor cold, I spit you out. But the neutral position of being able to judge on an equity case-by-case basis is the best position to be in. And if you're going to decide and take a position, it's typically best to do your best research before you rule and make judgments in the righteousness for something. And then always try to open the doors for new and different information, because if you take a position, I used to swear that the Earth was a ball, because I was like, it's perfect, whole, complete, it's a sphere, blah blah blah. And then I did 4 years of research, and I'm like, I think something's a little fishy, with this spinning globe aimlessly through space stuff isn't adding up. Black Swan, what is up? How you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming on. Black Swan, exactly. Create your own monopoly pieces and create for your own self-funding trinity. Absolutely. As a sovereign, and we're able to create any type of entity we want to, contract any way we want. We can mint our own gold. You can trade and barter and exchange however you want. If you want to use Federal Reserve notes, you can. But if you do, understand that there are underlying strings with that relationship. It is someone else's property, but it is the common medium of exchange for almost everything out in the public. It is the world reserve currency, even though it is in the public and it is debt. And that was one of the reasons why I never wanted to mess with it. But there's all kinds of little tricks where you can put it in trust wallets, and you can do all kinds of things that doesn't give up subject matter jurisdiction and not engage for profit. Because a lot of the not-for-profit commercial entities that I've learned and studied about, when you start dealing in for-profit, that's when all kinds of stuff hits the fan. You do not want to engage in for-profit. But you can exchange and you can barter and you can trade and you can do all kinds of stuff. It's so simple, the wording about how it works. It just is what it is. All right, so Awareness Daily. Thoughts on how the veil has been removed. Do you think there will be a reset? So I don't know what veil you're talking about. Even in the Bible, when it talks about the holiest of holies in the most spiritual place, which is the brain, when you receive the Holy Spirit, the veil has been lifted. But it even says that in the reading of Moses, the veil is put back over their eyes, because And what it's talking about is being bound by the written law, okay? So even though, and that's what separates a lot of people from being able to make the 7-day walk, is though even though they may accept and express the contract to be one with the creators in unity with the Holy Spirit, and they receive the Holy Spirit, and the veil has been lifted, and you've done day one as a new baby, by being bound by the written law, indoctrinated, will end up blinding you and keeping you kind of back in a box. And it's so many different traps and tricks on so many different levels of so many of these things, and even the Bible. It is a double-edged sword that cuts even down to the bone and marrow and spirit, where if you are indoctrinated and read it and are bound by the graven images, you will basically be judged by the graven images, and you'll be stuck in that mindset, and it's kind of tough to get out of it. But I don't know what veil you're talking about. But the veil that I know of, like I said, it's a spiritual thing talking about the brain when you make it through the first day. And I think they've even proven that there is like almost like a spider. It's like a membrane, like a very thin membrane that can tear when you express the contract of unity with the creators. And it literally says in the Bible, you know, when there was a veil for the most holy of places that was set for the minister for the sins. You have to read Hebrews, I want to say 12 or 13 or something. It's been so long, like the numbers kind of get vague, but I know a lot of the words. And it's a very beautiful allegory of the human mind and spirits and ministering to, the body. The body is the animal that we've all been given, the natural body, to sacrifice for others, right? You're supposed to sacrifice it to become more on higher levels with the creators. All right, so freedom isn't free. And internet-based loaning, I give you 2 today. And on Canteen, you give me 3 back. Yeah. Well, there was a saying that we had. It said, something, friends are few. Oh, how did it go? It was so funny. Friends are few. The best I can do is 1 for 2 or something like that. And it basically meant like, I can give you a soup today, but you got to give me 2 back or something. It was like something, friends are few. The best I can do is 1 for 2. Or something like that. But yeah. It's interesting how they barter, trade, and exchange in jail using a currency that doesn't exist in the modern world, right? Soup is not a, you try to go out here and try to get your clothes cleansed by giving them, $10 in soups, and they're going to be like, screw you. If you try to give them silver, they might say, screw you. Right, because they're bound by federal rules and regulations and have to do general accounting practices, and they can't take soups, or they don't want it. But it's just like anything on one of my last slides I was explaining. You could have gold, you could have silver, you could have platinum, you could have rubies, you could have all this stuff, and if the person that you're trying to barter or do services with only wants Federal Reserve notes, then all your stuff's worthless. You could try to trade a Lamborghini. If they don't want it, it's worthless. It's money has full faith and credit, because without your belief system in it, it's nothing. It's worthless. And that's just how it works, and it keeps everybody in bondage. Awareness Daily. How many Masonic secrets are actually released and explained within cartoons? Wow, that is a good secret, or a good question. Well, one, since I'm not a Mason, I couldn't tell you. Although, when you listen to David Wynn Miller, and he says he's like a 97th degree Mason, it just goes full circle about how even in the Bible, on almost everything, even in the public, every level, when you're entering teachings, and the same way I reach people and teach people, people can't drink from a garden hose, so they got to be trickle fed. They had, babes need milk. You can't just throw a steak in front of a baby and be like, chew up, son. You know what I'm saying? You got to feed a baby milk. So a lot of these esoteric and cryptic type of cult systems, including Masonics or Masons, they don't teach the beginning levels of truth. They teach beginning levels that people can understand, and then when you get up to the very higher levels, they start to reveal the truth and the light and the enlightenment. And that's kind of like how a lot of these systems work, where you have to make it up to the high levels to be able to even receive or understand and grasp the reality of what's actually being taught, or what is can be handled. Because, I'll be honest with you, and I hate saying this, I told my girl this today, people can't handle assets. You can't, that's why I teach people one-on-one, is because you can't just spit a lot of the stuff that I'm putting out to the masses, and that's some of why I'm throttled down on TikTok. because people can't handle it. They don't want to be responsible. They don't want to do any research. They don't want to educate. They don't want to look at all the systems that they have unless they have a fire under their foot because their house is getting foreclosed on or their children are getting taken or something crazy. Then all of a sudden they want to jump and learn, and then like just bags of electrical water that take the path of least resistance. Once that treble and trouble is over with, then they just go right back into couch potato and they don't want to learn anymore. So that's why I try to reach people one-on-one, and it's really hard for me to try to think of a way to come up for a class to teach even kids. Oh, Plant Mystic, thank you for the chili. Your gifts will be used to help others. Much appreciated. Sorry I didn't see when you gave that. But yeah, anyway, all right, freedom, Black Swan, freedom isn't free. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's good, brother? Y'all have been chatting because I'm so far behind. LOL, are you on another platform? Oh, never mind, LOL. Awareness. If the legal character that I have been acting within is tarnished, can I create another one? How? Yes, you can create another one. And actually, there's people that get in trouble with the IRS doing real estate schemes. The FBI even mentions it, because you can create another straw man, even a U.S. citizen, get a birth certificate for it and everything, and do business with it. And it's up to you if you want to do that or not. It's not very ethical, but you can also create an entity that is very much similar in similitude to a U.S. citizen that you don't have to get a birth certificate for, but it's just up to you what kind of jurisdictions or games you want to play in, depending on how you want to contract. But depending on how the U.S. citizen is tarnished would be one of my questions. Like, does it have a felony? Because you can get felonies pardoned or expunged, or you can get them removed or whatever. Black Swan, I got some juicy news for you, buddy. Okay, cool. I would love to hear it. And I had some stuff that I want to share with you also. Actually, I saved some of it from a Telegram group or whatever. I don't know if you're on Telegram or not, Black Swan. We could probably exchange some stuff a little bit. Perfect vibes. Thank you. You are very welcome. Welcome. Thanks for coming on. Soul, it's you. What's going on? Black Swan. You can go for profit as long as you strategically run it at a deficit. Oh yeah. So you're saying you can go for profit as long as you don't make profit. So that's actually kind of interesting too. But the downside to running a for profit, if it's registered, typically, so what ends up happening is if you have a not for profit. Or a for-profit, and you start engaging in stuff and services and stuff that other people have to start reporting to, you can get in trouble. But if it's not registered, it's a lot harder to be caught as far as doing for-profit. But if it is registered, yeah, they allow you to run it at a deficit for a while before I think there's some issues. And when you create an entity to do business with, the banks don't want to lend money to it until after a certain period of time as well. Freedom isn't free. Have you gotten into corpus juris civilis? No, but I've heard of corpus juris secundum. Civilis, what in the world is that? All right, we got corpus juris civilis by Justin, a collection of laws regarding Roman civil law. Well, that would be a great foundational read on basically where, all roads lead to Rome, right? The Roman Empire laid the groundwork for a lot of the stuff that the U.S. corporation and how it's ran, and all the judges and stuff. That would be good. I don't think I've read that one. I wonder if I could get it downloaded for free. It looks extremely old. What is the year on this sucker? Digsby? That jank looks old, but yeah, it looks cool. I'll keep this up and then try to see if I can find it, download it from an archive or something. All right, where are we at? Plant Mystic. Oh, blowing this. You just made my day. Hold on, what did I miss? Hey, buddy. Trust. How far back do I gotta go? I have not gotten that. SOL. So I have to get my SSN securitized. That's something that you can do, if you want to, through the DTC, but it wouldn't be the SSN. It would be the bond number on the Social Security Administration's card that they give 1/10 at a time to you. Nod. Oh yeah. To access trust funds. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. Or you can go through an agent in the public. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, if you get a paycheck from a corporation, you got to use banking agents in order to do transitions between public and private as your agents. Freedom isn't free. Hey, buddy. Freedom. There is that case with the dude who paid in coffee beans. I think I have heard about that. I've also heard about people paying in gold and silver, and there being no tax issue as well. There's, I think I posted that case in my Telegram group. What else we got? Okay, I got a new follower. I don't know who did it, but I appreciate it. And Freedom, thank you for a cent. Let them something. 2 of them. Let them cook. Yeah, appreciate it. Your gifts will be used to help others. Guys, this video will be on YouTube. The audio will be in my Telegram group. Feel free to browse around on my website. All the auxiliary information is free. It's linked on my profile page at TikTok. Please ask any and all questions here or DM me, and I will try to help you out on a case-by-case basis. All right, there's Casey. Dude, boom, freedom. You just made my day. Plant Mystic, totally cool. Don't worry about it at all, love. All right, they allow you to get many EINs, same thing, legal. Yep, absolutely. It's just a tax identification number that the IRS uses to monitor all the transactions of fiat currency that's going on. The EIN does not do really good for if you're trying to pay in coffee beans or something like that. Jade. So what if I have been stalked and harassed? Also DV. So I don't know what DV means, but if it depends on what type of entity is doing that. Like who's stalking you? You can always get the police to enforce your will, especially if you know who it is. You could put them on what's that thing where you can basically file something, a complaint, and have them where they can't call you or talk to you or see you or nothing, like a restraining order. Thanks for the follow, Jimmy. Don't register. PMA, under trust. Yep, that is one way to do business as well. And PMAs can also deal and barter and trade and exchange in Federal Reserve notes as well. But again, you got to be careful when you start doing for-profit. But as mentioned earlier, you can do for-profit if you're losing money constantly. Then it's like you're not taxed on it nowhere near as much because you're losing a lot of money. And they only tax you on the capital you make. For instance, if I sold you a Lamborghini for $280, right? You would report to the IRS that you bought a Lamborghini for $280, and there's no tax liability. If you sold that Lamborghini for anything more than $280, that's capital gains tax. You would then you would be taxed on anything beyond the $250 that you made from that if you reported that. And typically a car is registered and controlled by DC, and they want to know where everything goes and what happens. But that is one way to basically not give, but trade or sell somebody something way under market value. Or you can contract with them, right? So if I dig your fence post hole, you can give me your car for $250 or something like that. And y'all can have that contract, and private contracts are enforceable. Gregory Glows, thank you for the lightning times 14. Your gifts will be used to help others by promoting my videos to help enlighten more people. All right, Jade, by someone here, he called me Your Highness, LMNO. Who called you Your Highness? What's the name of your Telegram name? My Telegram is linked on my profile page of TikTok. If you go on there, you can click on my website, and it'll show you all my social medias that are linked on there. You just got to go on my website, Dawn. But it's Nature Spirit and Commerce chat group, and that's where I post the audio of this, or you can watch the video on YouTube. Let's see. Freedom isn't free. Domesticated touching in a hurtful manner. Is that what DV means? Domesticated violence. Oh, domestic violence. DV. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, if you got domestic violence, then yeah, use your. You got to remember that the. Did I just have somebody join my Telegram? Dawn, you join the group. If you are. You got to understand that the police have sworn an oath to uphold the system, and that includes keeping all the sheep in lock. And if one of the sheep are acting outside of the capacity that they're supposed to, then you can use them to enforce your will. You got to remember, they're our servants. The systems have been established for a reason. We always want to look at things as an enemy, and There has to be a savior, and but really we're all on our own paths that have to be enlightened and basically understand that we're sovereign and we are responsible and embody our own actions. That's why the systems look the way they do. It's hard to understand on a big, real high level. Everything is somewhat harmonious. You get in the weeds. There are some issues, but the main issues in the weeds is that nobody wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to learn. Nobody cares about being educated. For instance, if I put out an educational video, I can spend 7-8 hours making content, doing digital edits, all that stuff, put it out, and it could go anywhere between 1,000 people to 30,000. It's just but if I had some crazy thing where a cat was farting in a cup and it made a funny sound, that jank would blast out to millions of people. Because that's what people want. They don't want anything where they have to basically examine their lives or the issues before them. They want to work their 9 to 5 and then go out and party and have fun and drink and chill. All right, Nod, would one register a private trust? You can. It's up to you if you want to, but if you register, depending on how you register it, you could do a non-UCC to, make certain claims, but if you register it to the public, then the state would control it, the corporate state, and then the only way to be private would be to, the best thing to do would be to dissolve it, to stay truly private. But a private trust, depending on what you're trying to do, if you register it, is controlled by the state that you registered in. Boy Scout 2.0, rather be judged by 12 rather than carried by 6. That is an interesting saying that I have never heard before. I would rather be judged by 12 rather than carried by 6. That's an interesting philosophy. All right. Dawn, when you said register it, do you mean record it? No, when you create a trust. Oh, are you talking to me or are you talking to Nod Narb? Because if you record, it depends on what you're trying to enforce. Okay, just because a trust isn't written down or a trust isn't recorded or registered doesn't mean that it's not enforceable and it doesn't exist. It is easier to prove if there's records, obviously, about some things, but it depends on what you're trying to do. But you can enforce, you got to remember, contracts start verbally. They're not always written down. Jade, trolls are bored, obviously. You talking about rather be judged by 12 rather than carried by 6? Yeah, I don't know if that's a troll or maybe it is. Maybe Ice Cube is a troll, Vindy Indy. No, I think Vindy Indy's been on here before, and I don't think they're trolling, but, I have been wrong before. Dawn, I recorded a certificate of trust. Yeah, that's one way. So how it works when you record something is they have statutes for stuff that you can record, and they have to have a wedding signature. So what you can do to keep and maintain true title of anything that you're trying to record is you can have a notary, who's one of the services that they do, and I need to make a video on a notaries, like how powerful they are, because they're actually, they're basically fractal agents of the Secretary of State. They are very powerful that can deal in the public and private. But one of the notary's duties that they can do is they can make copies of stuff, and they can put their notarial seal on it and say this is a certified copy. And a county will record a notary's wedding signature on a certified copy. So what you can do as the title controller is you can get the notary to make a copy of a title that you want to maintain true control of, because if you give the true title of something to the state and they put their stamp and seal and record on it, it is basically under their jurisdiction now. But if you give them documentation that a notary has done a certified copy of, and you record that is attached or stapled to the actual document copy, then they're not putting their seal and stamp on top of your document. They're putting it on top of the notary seal and stamp, and then that way you can maintain true title to whatever you're trying to record. All right, Jade, thank you for all the great info. Yeah, you're welcome. It's taken me a few years to gather all this stuff, but it just is what it is. 12 jurors on a panel, 6 men carrying the casket. Oh, 12 jurors. Yeah, I was thinking originally like 12 was talking about some spiritual stuff. But yeah, so that's not some trolling stuff. That has a deeper meaning that I had judged by jury or carried in a casket 6. Okay, That's a pretty cool saying now. It means a lot more to me now. I'm glad that you mentioned that. 28 USC 1746. So I would have to look that up because I don't know the 28 billion codes and statutes that are out there. So 28 USC, I think, is definitions or no. 1746. 1746. What do we got? Legal information, chapter 15. Unsworn declarations under penalty of perjury. Okay, I declare. So I have seen this before. It's terrible that I am so indoctrinated that I have seen this random code before. Whenever under any law of the United States or any rule, regulation, or prevalent pursuit thereof, any matter is required or permitted to be supported evidence, established, proven, sworn, declared, verification, certificate, statement. Yeah. So if you're gonna and this is part of what a notary who has sworn an oath, and all the public offices that you deal with have sworn oaths to uphold the public system. They've done this stuff. Because that's how the United States operates. Is they have to swear like an allegiance under affidavit or verification or swearment to a specified official to be able to carry their office or to be able to be enforceable or to be able to be proven, right? And that's why it's very important to understand the exceptions to the hearsay rule and what the public can see and view and accept as evidence. Plant mystic freedom isn't free. We on the same page. Yep, got it. Dawn, I heard that the IRS Palms manual says you need a revocable trust to set off. Is that true? So the U.S. citizen is an individual trust that you can do all of that stuff with. If you want to send me that specific POMS manual, that because you can do set off settlements and closures on a closed bank account as well. Like, there's so many different ways to do things. It just depends on how you want to operate out there. It's all about how you want to do business, and that's what we do every single day. Dawn or Melody, haha, you're awesome. Thank you, Melody. Does it say that we are essentially our own notaries? You're talking about being a notary, so. A notary has to, grant permission or get permission from the Secretary of State in order to be registered to be able to do their duties. And they operate in the public with their stamp, and they operate in the private with their seal. And I don't think they can use the seal without the stamp, but they're able to do certificates of protest, which is a very powerful thing through banking. And they're also federal witnesses pursuant to some federal code, where you can use them to send mail through. And that's one of the powerful processes that I teach about the private administrative procedure. When you're establishing a record, you can actually use the notary as a witness to do a certificate of response or non-response. So basically, when you're establishing a record to a different entity or different party, you basically say, and it's the same thing like the IRS and other collection agencies will do, is you say any responses must be set on a point-by-point basis, an affidavit form sworn to under penalty of perjury, and any and all responses must go through or to this notary. And you give the notary's address, or you swear that no mail has been received from them, and she signs that certificate of non-response. And you basically say any responses, non-responses will be certified by the notary. Like I said, they're a very powerful entity that you can use to do some of your contracting. But I always put all of their information inside of a box as not to give up any jurisdiction, because they are a fractal of the Secretary of State as agents authorized to be, basically federal witnesses and agents of the Secretary of State. What about a closed credit card for set off? Yeah, every banking account. If you look it up in a banking dictionary, you look up what a closed account is still used for set off settlements and closures. Now, depending on how you do it in your knowledge in banking, you can still use a closed account for set offs and settlements, but you have to be careful if you're operating outside of the capacity that you're allowed to do, and depending on what you're trying to do, you still have to use an agent to be able to do those transitions and transmissions and transfers and transactions, because that's what they're authorized to do. Dawn, I just looked it up. The Palms Manual is an operation guideline for the Social Security Administration. Okay. I don't. I've probably seen some of that stuff. I've run across millions of different things in my studies and my walks from all these years, but I don't remember specifically about set-offs and settlements for a living or revocable trust. But that is one of the paths that a lot of people try to teach you, is to try to re-express the U.S. citizen as a revocable trust. But what the creators and controllers of the U.S. citizen allow is you can express wills and trusts to avoid probate for the U.S. citizen. And that's one of the things that you can do as the authorized representative of that entity. That's just one of the benefits and privilege to be able to operate it. Melody, can you be your own notary and do all the same? No, you cannot be a witness in your own. You cannot testify in your own trial. Basically, everything must be established through two or more witnesses. That is Scripture, and that is basically the Bible is kind of like the law book for operating in the commercial world, including when you're confronted with a quote-unquote authority figure. You ask questions. You don't answer them, because you are the sovereign. You are the one who asks the questions. Just like when Yahushua was asked, "Are you king of the Jews?" Yahushua asked back, "Say this of thyself?" That was a question. He asked the question back. Or did others say this of thee? So he asked the question back because he's the sovereign. He's operating in a sovereign capacity. So, yeah, you never want to notarize your own signature. You have to go through a second or third party in order to establish records and witnesses, and that's why it's so powerful when you started doing a private administrative procedure and you're doing in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act, and you're going through a notary as a witness who is basically a federal witness, and you're establishing a record, which and it's an exception to the hearsay rule, because any third party whose duty it is to keep such records in their normal line of duty, which a notary is an exception to the hearsay rule. And hearsay is anything done outside of a public court case. So anything that you do out there in the world is considered hearsay. It doesn't matter what it is. But there are exceptions to the hearsay rule, and notary's records is one of those things, including public records and stuff like that. Vinny Eddie, well said. Thank you. Melody Bible Right. Thank you. You're welcome. Freedom isn't free. You have your 3 with you regularly, 2 index and a thumb. Are you talking about with your fingers? You talking about like signing the witnesses? Yeah. Well, believe it or not, we're 2 bodies in one. We're a natural body and a spiritual body, and we actually operate in the commercial light. Everything that we do is seen in the commercial light, which is the moon, which translates from spirit to natural light all the time, and everything in between. So you're actually 2 witnesses in one already, but the commercial public world doesn't really recognize you as 2 in 1, even though you're the authorized representative of the U.S. citizen. So you have a commercial body, you got a natural body, and you got a spiritual body, and you're actually operating with them all the time, continuously. Witnesses. Dawn, I think you did a video a while ago about the DTC and getting a sponsor to get access. Have you yet? No, I did not go through that. There was 3 reasons why I didn't go through the DTC, and I think I figured out a couple of them. One was my whole ultimate goal was to not deal in public debt, because all of the quote-unquote money that everybody loves and wants to play around and roll in is actually debt that harms the public, and I wanted to try to extinguish and make that smaller. That's what I thought I was doing when I was going down that journey, and then I found out even after it's all said and done, you have to convert all the private assets back into public funds, because that's all the public can handle. So you're creating more public debt, which is just like wasn't what I wanted. I also didn't know what 1/10 of my estate is worth, and I also didn't know where to start to get a DTC participant sponsor to be able to even, I felt much like it was like a vampire that you have to like invite, you have to get invited in, and it's just kind of like, I was just messing on a level that just didn't seem right at the time. It's somewhat intriguing. It is kind of neat to want to flirt with a little bit, but it's just right now I'm on somewhat of a different path. But yeah, that's as far as I got. Freedom is free. 3 fingers are metaphorically referred to as witnesses to the actions you're performing. That's interesting. I've never metaphorically heard that before. Melody, I edited a document Will you look at it over and let me know your thoughts? It's an affidavit of truth. I don't mind glancing at stuff, but typically I don't try to like get into the dotting the T's and the I's of something, because the way that I operate is I don't typically hold someone's hand for every single step and say, oh, you should do this, this is how you do, because that takes away a lot of time from me, and it also shows me that you don't know what you're doing, because if you don't understand what you're getting involved in and you can't basically defend or fight what you're doing and standing on, then what you're doing is kind of fruitless. It's kind of irrelevant. You can do all the work in the world, and if you're confronted on whatever you've done, like a law official comes, knocks on your door and says, is this your signature? And you just start crying or you pee pants, like, it's completely pointless if I helped you or not. It's completely pointless if your process is perfect and airtight. So, my best suggestion is to glance at, other people's. I have templates for a lot of that stuff on my website. You can browse around. I have one of the best templates is for an affidavit of live birth that gives a great statement of facts for establishing a record for the birthing of a child. If you don't want to register it and give control over to the state, it's up to you. But that's on my website. I have a lot of blank templates so you can kind of glance at as well. Melody, hold on, where are we at? Melody, and rescission of parents' patrie for the public school, written permission to speak with the kids. Yeah, I can glance at it if you want to send it through my Telegram group. Freedom isn't free. Placement of your fingers on a document creates a bond or seal that's special. Yeah, a lot of people use their thumb as a stamp. Melody, outside of education purposes. I understand, 100%. Freedom isn't free, or power is sometimes believed to be backed by common law or natural law principles. Yeah, this natural body, has very unique identifiers and similitudes, including like retina and dinucleic acid and stuff like that you can use as a sovereign. We're given dominion over this natural body to be able to kind of use it to certain, like, when you create something, you get to control it. So the creators of the natural body have given us authority to operate in a lot of different ways. I think MD sent me a photo already. Melody, I understand. Okay. Dawn, do you know how to discharge in the public and offset in the private? That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, everybody's trying to do that. So my understanding is you want to operate in trust. So you can, if you're having a U.S. citizen, you can discharge through the alien property custodian, who is, I think, the Attorney General, accessing the alien, the U.S. enemy, U.S. citizen enemy's assets for the Treasury. Or you can go through the DTC, or you can do a private administrative procedure. But all that stuff you have to be very well learned in, or you're going to get yourself in trouble. Freedom isn't free. The thumb and two index fingers might be seen as representing the Trinity. It might be, and I've seen that there's a lot of power that emanates from not only just our aura, our biofield, but our fingers too. And there's an interesting documents done by not Emoto on the water. What was the photographer, the Carillion photography? So if you look up Carillion photography, there was a guy who found out a way, and this isn't like dicyanide glasses, this is something else. There was a guy who figured out how to basically photograph our bioelectric field, and you can see like the emanating essence off of you in fingertips. And he was documenting a girl and a guy who had just met each other, and it was like their fields weren't connecting. And then once they started to get to know each other, like their fields jumped from their fingers to each other, like they started connecting on a level that a guy was showing. Even like fruit and everything has like a bioelectric type of field that can emanate from it through Carillion photography. Melody, very cool, thank you. Your website is on here. Yeah, it's linked on my profile page of TikTok if you click on it. Freedom, or as invoking a personal triad of witnesses, mind, body, and spirit. Yeah, so we do have the Trinity continuously, and we were given the commercial body not understanding or knowing what it was typically when we were born. We were given a U.S. citizen. So We have a natural body, a spiritual body, and a commercial body. And the commercial body is all kinds of different things. It's anything you do or contract with or move or how you operate. But we were given a U.S. citizen to use as a tool as our commercial body out there in the seas of commerce and admiralty and or common law and or equity. Depends on how you want to operate. Freedom isn't free, or as invoking a personal trial with. Yep. Melody, okay, send on Telegram, you're the best. You're welcome, no problems. Dawn, do you believe in reincarnation? I believe we are all fractals of the Creator and our spirit. So Proverbs says that when an animal, the spirit goes back to the Creator. I don't know what happens from there. I have seen spirits possess kids and stuff like that, and they talk about World War III planes and stuff, and the kids are able to talk about like where the dials are and stuff on the plane, and like what happened to their friend and stuff like that. There's no way, and they were accurate. There's no way that they would have been able to know about any of that stuff as a kid, about where like the on and off button is for the the certain centrifugal spinner on a freaking World War II aircraft, unless they were inhabited by somebody. But I've been. One of my spiritual mentors has mentioned that reincarnation is a thing. I believe that our spirit is not bound by any of these natural laws that we are subject to for the beginning steps of our walk, and reincarnation is very feasible and possible. I don't know what to say other than that. As far as it might be mentioned in the Bible. I don't remember it being mentioned in the Bible being reincarnate, but I do know that there are spirits that reanimate flesh body frames, even from death and possession by spirits being able to jump, and we can actually do similar things by affecting the ether and other people's spirits, even if you're not very well learned. So. Yeah, that's kind of my answer. Your spirit. I don't see why your spirit couldn't inhabit a different body. Once you put down your flesh frame, you can do that through meditation or death, or different things. So, yeah, it's very possible. It's very very it's hard to explain on a spiritual level the implications of spirituality, but yeah, I don't see why it couldn't be happening. Tasteless chef, are you talking about the Nephilim? No, but I have heard the Bible does talk of giants. They do talk about and I don't know about the legitimacy of Clinton's email about the Gilgamesh and stuff like that. But from what I've seen, my research about all the rocks and all the trees and all the stuff out there is that there was some really really big stuff before the flood. There was some stuff that would just blow your mind. There's rocks that look exactly like petrified people. Oh, I've been on here so long, I gotta slide a puzzle piece. Yeah, there's some petrified giant rocks out there that there's just no doubt. There's no way is anything other than a petrified giant. And I have seen, personally, I have a clam that was completely turned into rock. Even the soft stuff on it, like the soft fleshy part on it, and it was all the same rock, and it is clearly a petrified clam. And I don't know how it happens, but this stuff, they'll teach you in the public that it takes millions of years for this stuff to turn, and it's like, nah, that's not what happened. It just ain't what happened. Dawn, I don't want to come back if it stays the way things are. I want to stay with the Creator. Well, you can do that now. You don't have to. We're all on a different paths. We're all fractals of the Creator already. So basically, this test is to just try to become one with the Creator anyway. So if you go through the 7-day walk, I have spiritual videos on that. If you put down this flesh and operate outside of it and become into the perfect body into the 8th day, 8 states, then that's something that you can do. You can get the rainbow body. There's many monks that have been recorded that have meditated out of their body and basically translated. It even talks about Enoch was translated because of how close he walked with the Creator. So you can actually walk that close with the Creator that you get to translate away from this temporary physical flesh body frame and become basically pure light energy through the rainbow body and stuff like that. But you got to get all your chakras in alignment. You got to be pure. You got to self-sacrifice and go through all kinds of things. Hazel Chef, or maybe the fallen with the spirit jumping. Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, dragons. I've seen some crazy stuff out there. Yeah, the Book of Enoch is pretty cool, and there's a lot of Bible books that are mentioned in the Bible that are not in the Bible. And it's just it's so much information out there. But again, the Bible is my favorite law book. Is very 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 powerful. So I haven't made it to day 7. I have gone through. I flirted with 6 a little bit, becoming a man. I do have, temptations that set me back some, but I haven't made it to 7 or 8. I haven't been able to. Well, I don't know. I have been able to bind stuff, but my rainbow bind. Yeah, I haven't meditated to the next level because I'm right here talking right now. But I've flirted with 7 some. And as you go through the 7-day walk, you continue to carry all the previous days' work with you and continue to grow in them as well. And that's basically what is outlined in the first 7 days of the Bible, is explaining in the beginning and all through the Bible in different ways to reach different angles and different people, is the 7-day walk of creation, becoming one with the Creator. And it's just been the same way it's always been, where the people in the natural, or the entities in the natural realm and natural light, have been given authority to spin swords in all different directions to keep us away from the garden. And the garden is in our mind, where it's one with the Creator, where you can change your reality through your thoughts by being, embodying your true spiritual divinity. So the Kabbalion, yeah, I've seen a little bit of this stuff. This not been my 100% walk. I read the book of Adam and Eve. That is mind blowing. So I haven't read that one, but I've read what's in the Bible, and it's a little tricky because the Bible has a natural interpretation, a spiritual interpretation, and a commercial interpretation, and you have to understand what a lot of the nouns mean in order to decipher it. And that's again what I was talking about earlier, when you are learning stuff on different levels. In the beginning, you can only handle certain amounts of things, and as you continue to walk, it's just like me trying to learn bachata. I've taken one class or one beginner's thing, I can know a little bit, but I can't quite do spins and stuff real good. It takes time to be able to, straight move them hips like a gangster. It just takes a little bit. Guys, this live will be on YouTube. My audio will be in my Telegram group. Feel free to reach out to me and DM me. You can email me. You can call me. This website that I have on my profile page of TikTok has auxiliary information from any of the paths that you want to join on. Nature, Spirit of Commerce. I have playlists that I've helped and created to re-educate everybody. I'm near the end of the bottom of my list, and it's been an hour. I typically try to only stay on here for an hour, so feel free to rewatch this or reach out to me if you have any questions, and I don't mind helping. Freedom isn't free. Ever watch Supernatural? I've seen a little bit of that, yeah. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I have been. My new office has benefits, and I have been watching a little bit of movies, a little more than I used to. Ninja Assassin, why postal office cars don't have license plates? I have not seen a postal car without a license plate, but I have to look. Not in my locale. I don't think they operate outside of, typically the Department of Motor Vehicles that doesn't allow that kind of stuff to go on. But you can have a vintage car, or you can have true controlling title over your own car and do what you want. It's up to you when it comes to what you want to do with your property, and it depends on who controls it. Or if you do, you can do what you want. But you got to understand what the public can accept. Like, a lot of people that go on this path want to put, screw the police, I'm above the law, like all this stuff on the car, and that's just not going to fly. You're going to cause more harm, and you'll get, you just don't want to do that kind of stuff. Now, Nard, have you been involved in a lawsuit? I am working on one and would like some input. I have been involved around them. I haven't had one on me because everything's about contract and offer. I've gone to jail for 3 years for not understanding anything about the legal system, including, I didn't want to snitch, but they have exempt plates. Yeah, that would make sense if they have exempt plates. Anyway, guys, I love you. Thank you for coming on this live. I hope that I've been able to give some of you enlightenment in the 3 lights and the foundations that I'm laying that can't be shaken. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to browse on my videos. And I hope that y'all have a great weekend. It is Friday. Enjoy yourselves. I'm glad that I got to come on a little later than earlier. Thank you for all the likes, the shares, the follows. Thank you for everything that y'all have done. I hope y'all enjoy, that y'all have unlimited power and ability. So y'all have a good one, and I'll catch y'all next week. I usually try to go on Fridays. All right, guys.